Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. Oh wait, that's my other opening. Sorry, it's been a long week. Welcome to Boobs and Dicks, that's what you want to hear. Where we discuss about things in the most perverted ways possible. As always, I'm Dix.
Hi.
And today we're going to be talking about male feminists. Because as much as we don't want to talk about them, they keep forcing themselves in our faces. Ugh. So, I apologize for not appearing on the show last week. A lot of stupid shit going on at once, so just wasn't able to get on, but we're on this week. Sorry to start a little bit early today. Of course, always stupid shit going on, but I've got a lot going on lately, so it's like I'm going to not really be able to do as much as I want to in the next few months. So, but I'm still going to try to do these shows. Because I really enjoy them, even though not many people watch it. I get more views on Leslie Jones getting doxxed than I do on one of these shows. Kind of sad if you ask me, but people love controversy. What can I say? So how are you doing, Medusa?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Sweet.
So Polaris asks, why do you start early? Why don't you say you are going to start when you actually do?
Because shit happens.
Because real life happens. Sometimes one of us is just like late because we slept in. Medusa does that a lot. Sometimes I sleep in. I sleep in too much, and we have to start late. Sometimes just real life gets in the way, and in order to do what we want, we have to just keep messing with the time. So I apologize. I really apologize for starting early, but just sometimes it can't be helped. So I want to start on time. Believe me, you and me. All right, so let's go ahead and get the sharing started.
All right.
Not that kind of sharing.
Damn it.
Okay, and we'll start with our first article today. We need to include men in feminism. And this is written by a woman, so we know this will be good. So, feminist dad for girl power.
Oh, God.
Read that. Girls DSM-E. Wow.
Chipotle.
Maybe you should focus less on being a feminist and more on how to write. Okay, so this article starts off, talking about like man-hating, and feminism conjures up the images of armpitted lesbians insisting that there's a superior sex and men should sit down and shut up. And she's trying to say, like, well, this is what it was in the past, not really today. It's like, yeah, no, it's still today. But this is 2016, and feminists look like women in business suits who work on Wall Street, or stay-at-home moms rocking yoga pants while pushing a stroller to the park. They're black, Latina, Asian, and white. They're celebrities. Sometimes they're even men. Yes, feminists are men too. And this might seem obvious to some, but there are some others who disagree. There are some feminists that believe feminism is only for women. It's our battle to fight, and we need women-only spaces in order to feel safe and express ideas and concerns with others who share our experience of oppression. who move through the world in a similar way. I completely agree with this and advocate for it. But I also think that excluding men from feminism entirely is not helpful or progressive. Wait a minute. You just said that you completely agree with this statement that feminism is only for women, that you need women-only spaces, and you completely agree with that, but then also saying that men shouldn't be excluded from feminism. Within 2 paragraphs, you've contradicted yourself.
Did you expect it to make sense?
No, I expect it to be logically inconsistent, but, you know. Our recent example I've come across that demonstrates the alienation of men from gender equality issues is hearing my feminist peers say things like, boys are stupid, or all men are dirty and messy. Well, so are all women, but, you know. My boyfriend and some of my male friends have told me that hearing this type of language, especially if it happens consistently, can make them feel excluded. Really? So hearing that they're stupid makes them feel excluded. How about all men are rapists? Does that make them also feel excluded? I imagine it would. Maybe you should think twice about what you say.
Women don't do that. What are you talking about? Thinking is not for women.
My boyfriend is a feminist in that he firmly believes men and women should be treated as equals. Okay, is it that he believes that men and women should be treated as equals, or has he specifically said, I'm a feminist? Because the way you wrote that is, he doesn't think he's a feminist, but he believes this, so that makes him a feminist. Because you know what? I firmly believe men and women should be treated as equals. Does that also make me a feminist? But wait, if that makes him a feminist for believing that, and you believe that, that also makes you a men's rights activist and an egalitarian.
Yep.
I just love this whole concept of, well, if you believe men and women should be treated as equals, then that makes you a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? The girl from the drama club that you, in your past?
Yes, that's exactly what she said. And that's exactly what I said back, or what my friend said back to her, you know, well, men's rights activist, and she was like, no, that's not how it works. It was pretty funny.
So my boyfriend is a feminist, but he's told me that experiencing this type of exclusion makes him not want to take an active role in the fight for feminism. Well, I would come to expect that. No one likes to be told that they're stupid. No one likes to be insulted constantly. No wonder why men don't want to be a... When he first told me this, I got upset. I felt like he was overreacting. Oh, you feel excluded because someone called you stupid or messy. Try making 30% less at your job than a man in the same role. Try being seen as a sex object every day of your life, or worrying that you'll be physically assaulted on the streets.
Yeah, because men never have to worry about that.
Yeah. Other than the whole wage gap thing being bullshit, men are seen as sex objects. Or, well, actually, most men are not seen as sex objects. Most men are ignored because they're not sex objects. And I bet you anything, this is a very good-looking man. Because it'll show you how shallow she actually is, that this is a very good, attractive-looking man.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what her boyfriend looks like just to show that he is being treated as a sex object. But yeah, men get seen as sex objects. Men are more likely to be physically assaulted than women are to be raped.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has the potential to be a sex object, and I don't even know why they say sex object, because it is, they're first of all, they're people, so they're just trying to make it seem like, women are just like aliens or some shit, so that they just seem like victims all the time.
He's a straight white man who's had a lot of privileges that straight white men have in our society. He can deal with a few women making slightly negative comments about his gender. No, she can't. So she gets upset because he doesn't like hearing negative comments and doesn't want to be a part of a movement that demonizes them.
She got triggered.
But after thinking about it more, I realized that this is about something bigger. While these comments aren't on par with a lot of the type of harassment women have faced for centuries, they're also not helpful or necessary in the fight towards equality.
Really?
Well, no, I mean, if you want equality, then treating men a lot worse than you do women is not an example of equality. My boyfriend's anger at these comments is really about the larger issue of excluding men from feminism. You mean the feminism that you agree with, that's women only and women should only fight for it and have women only spaces? You write this stuff, I'm just reading it. Let me also point out that I don't think it's about the issue of sexism towards men.
Of course not. Nothing is sexism towards men.
YouTuber Riley J. Dennis, I've never actually heard this person, who frequently vlogs about gender equality and LGBT issues, summed up this idea very nicely in one of her videos. And I agree with her thinking. She says, sexism is institutionalized discrimination against a particular gender or genders because it has to be institutionalized, that is, built in our societal systems. You could only really be sexist against women and other gender minorities.
Flawless logic. Yes. Why does sexism have to be institutionalized? Why is that their thing? I don't understand.
Because it's a way of circumventing the actual definition of sexism. I've looked up dictionaries, and the one word I don't see a whole lot in the different dictionaries is institutionalized. It's a way to throw in the word that says that, well, what you are seeing sexism that's towards men, but because it's not institutionalized, it's not true sexism. And it's one of the few times that feminists don't use the dictionary definition because it doesn't support their viewpoint, but they will for feminism. But here's the kicker as well, is if it's institutionalized, why is it only that women and other gender minorities are considered to be not part of the institutionalization? Because, men being told that they're stupid, men being told that they are all rapists, that has become institutionalized. Men are told, boys are told this from a very young age now. It's in our schools. Isn't that the very definition of it being institutionalized? That even within our own schools, boys are being put into special classes and told, you are rapists, and you need to be told you're not a rapist. and that's not considered sexism because, well, all men commit rape. Well, no, not all men do. In fact, a very tiny subset of men, not even 1% of men in the U.S. or even in the world commit rape. And yet we're telling all men they're rapists. We're telling all men they're sexist and that they have all of this privilege. I'm sorry, but it started to become institutionalized. So your argument no longer holds water using the word institutionalized.
Yeah.
Polaris, I've been on his channel recently. Very fun guy, really into music. Some men go to clubs and pay to be insulted. Men aren't sex objects, they are sex monsters. And how do they know what harassment women went through in the past? Was it documented? So I'm not saying that calling boys stupid is an example of sexism, but I do think it's problematic because it reinforces the gender binary. It puts boys and men into a box, making the assumption that they all ascribe to the same subset of ideals or way of life. Congratulations, you just described sexism.
Oh.
That is sexism. That's the long definition of sexism. By judging an entire gender in a very specific way and making the assumption that they're all like that. That's sexism.
Shh. It's not sexism. It's something else. It's racism.
Well, it can't be racism because they're all white.
Oh, yeah.
The number one goal of feminism is to make sure that women are being treated as equals in society because we are the ones that have been and continue to be marginalized and discriminated against specifically for our gender. But I believe that feminism is also about redefining masculinity. Just as I believe in intersectional feminism, I believe that men must be included in feminism too. So as feminists, you get to decide what masculinity is. You get to redefine it. And men can be a part of it so long as they ascribe to what you set as masculinity. What's the point of men being there then? Why can't men redefine what masculinity is and you work with them? Why is it that feminism has to decide? I listen to Dan Savage podcast, Savage Lovecast, every week. And one of those many pieces of advice he's given that really resonates with me is that we need to change the way we're raising young boys. In the fight for gender equality, much of the focus has been on changing the way we raise girls. From a young age, we need to teach girls to be strong and independent. We must make sure they know that they can do anything boys can do. We also need to implant the idea of feminism in boys at a young age. Boys must know how to respect girls and women and what consent means. So girls don't need to respect boys and they don't need to know what consent means?
Boys can't get raped, so that's, they don't need that.
Just as importantly, they need to know that it's okay to cry, that they too can be anything they want to grow up, even jobs traditionally thought of as feminism, like a stay-at-home parent, a teacher, or a nurse. Well, the funny thing about being a teacher or a nurse is that it's still female-dominated, not because men don't want to do these jobs, but it's actually difficult for men to do these jobs. And oftentimes, women don't want men to be these jobs. I mean, especially being a teacher, men run the risk of being accused of sleeping with a student. Now, there are a lot of male teachers out there, but they still run this risk. Whereas women can sleep with their students and get a slap on the wrist of saying, oh, well, he came on to you, so that's okay. So, yeah, we kind of got the idea of what this article is about. And it's just like, I'll go ahead and read the last two paragraphs. We need men to help us with this fight because we need everyone fighting this cause from all sides. Despite the fact that you said that only women should fight this because they're the only ones who understand the oppression they're going through. Feminism benefits women as well as all people. Reiterating stereotypes, whether they be about men or women, does not progressive the cause. Nor does writing, apparently. Speaking pejoratively about either gender as a static group does not progress. Oh, does not progress the cause. Okay. Sorry, then I guess I can't read. The group does not progress the cause. Feminism needs both men and women to know this and embrace it. It needs to be as a crucial part of the conversation.
Conversation about what, though?
That like, women need more rights.
Let's talk about feminism and then what?
So, Celtic Rune Singer, good to see you. Yet masculinity can't refine femininity by feminists. That's a good point. If women get to decide what masculinity is, then masculinity or men should redefine what femininity is. Those strong, independent women that don't need no man need men. That's a good point. So exactly. Women can do anything they want. They can be as good as a man, if not better, and they can do it all their own, but we need men to help us out.
Yep.
Thank you for that warped reflection. So any comments about this before we move on?
I think she just read too many fucking Tumblr blogs and needs to fucking... I'm surprised they didn't talk about the patriarchy.
Yeah, that's a surprise there as well. And it's usually like, you know, well, the patriarchy is responsible for everything and includes that, you know, it tells men that they have to act a certain way, and it actually harms men. You know, the whole system that was designed by men for men also hurts men.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our next article here. Let me go ahead and zoom this up for you.
Oh, that's a great title.
If you're not a feminist, what the hell is wrong with you? This one written by...
I have a brain.
And of course, these stupid word thingies. Like it somehow makes it more legitimate. I'm a male human being. You're a male human being? Was there a fear that you might have been like an alien from another planet? Or maybe a monkey at a typewriter? I mean, how do we know you're a male human being? All we have is just your words alone. I mean, you know, dolphins are getting smarter every day, so... And you better believe I'm a feminist. Well, okay. I wear that label proudly. The other day, a friend of mine heard one of my articles was published in Everyday Feminism, and he said, kind of a backhanded compliment, isn't it? Hell no! What does that mean? Would someone suppose that a man being considered a feminist somehow made him less of a man? On the contrary, I think it makes him more of one. It makes him a decent freaking person. I just don't understand this ridicule and fear of being called a feminist. I see it in both men and women. The other day, a coworker said she was for the idea that men and women deserve equal pay for the same job, but she doesn't consider herself a feminist. Why the hell not? This is distinctly a feminist point of view. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
You can be for something and not be a part of something. You know what? Yeah. I'm all for the idea that you should treat people the way you want to be treated, which was said by Christ. That doesn't make me a Christian for believing that. You know, I agree with a lot of Buddhism. That doesn't make me a Buddhist. I agree with a lot of Christianity. It doesn't make me a Christian. So why is it believing that men and women deserve equal pay mean that I can only be a feminist?
Yeah.
There seems to be this stigma about the term as if being a feminist was tantamount to being some sort of radical troublemaker. Some folks seem to think
you don't say
that feminists essentially hate men and seek them grievous harm. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Gee, I wonder why they think that. Andrea specifically saying that all men should be castrated. And that all feminists like, oh yeah, Andrea Dworkin is a fantastic feminist. Gee, I wonder why we think they're man-hating. A feminist is just someone who thinks men and women should have the same rights and opportunities. You know, I think this is going to be a common thread through all of these articles. That a feminist is someone who thinks men and women should have the same rights and opportunities. Once again, if that makes me a feminist, then that makes you a men's rights activist and an egalitarian. And you don't like it when I do that to you, so how about you just don't do that to me? Okay? That's it. You can add more complicated terms, talk about economic, social, and political rights, but it's the same damn thing. Yes, I'm glad you agree with me. It's the same damn thing. Being a feminist just means you're not an asshole. Really?
Yeah,
there's
I've never met a feminist
that was an asshole out there. That are feminists. That's not a gender-specific value, nor should it depend on your political affiliation, sexual preference, or spirituality. If you think all people, regardless of what they've got between their legs, deserve to be treated fairly, then surprise, you're a feminist.
A good surprise.
Yeah, I'd rather have surprise butt sex. Surprise, you're a feminist.
Same.
You heard it here, folks. Medusa wants butt sex.
Yeah.
In the words of activist and academic Chris Camare, I can't read that word, that name. Wow, that's just awful all over. And is it kind of redundant to say both an activist and an academic? Feminism is the radical notion that women are people. And men's rights
I don't think women
activists
are
with
people.
the radical notion that men are people. What's your point? Some folks try to convince you otherwise. They play a card from the racist playbook. It goes like this. Stop saying feminism. Women don't deserve equal right. All people do. Okay, first off, I don't know if anyone's ever said women don't deserve equal rights.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, all people do would include women in that. Third, why is it so wrong to say that all people deserve equal rights, which is what you were basically saying before, is that to believe that what was it said specifically? Feminism is someone who thinks that men and women should have the same rights and opportunities. And yet you're criticizing someone saying that all people do. Fourth, how is this racist? You said playing the card from a racist playbook. Stop saying feminism. Women don't deserve equal rights. All people do. Where does race enter into that?
Because racism.
It's the same passive-aggressive trick of the closeted white supremacists to attack Black Lives Matter activists because all lives matter. Well, what about when black people say that all lives matter? Are they white supremacists as well? Isn't it racist to call a black person a white supremacist? Oh, because no black person actually says it. That's what's in your little thought bubble there, isn't it?
I gotta ask, what the fuck is a skeezic?
I don't know.
Scared.
He's sick. Listen, Skeezick, whoever the fuck that is. No one said only Black Lives Matter, just like no one said only women's rights matter. What you've complained about is purely baloney, a way to shut down the conversation and stop people from talking about inequalities that actually exist for women or people of color. Funny! Because that's what you're doing when you say that women deserve equal rights, because you're trying to shut down that men also deserve equal rights. And anytime a man brings up, hey, a man faces this inequality, it's immediately shut down as, well, women have been facing oppression for over 5,000 years. That's doing the exact same thing that you're accusing everyone else of doing, of saying all lives matter. Everyone should be equal. You're doing the exact thing you're accusing other people of doing in your own writing. And don't assume I'm excluding trans people either. LGBT are just deserving of fair treatment as cisgender folks, heterosexuals, or anyone else. Where did trans people come into this conversation? In fact, so far, LGBT hasn't really been a part of this conversation. It's about feminism. And hate to break it to you, but feminism is about gender. LGBT is about sexuality. Civil rights movement is about race. Feminism is not all-encompassing of these things. I know they try to make it like that, but it's not. Now, there can be overlap between all of these, but feminism, it should not be all in one. It shouldn't be all about women, LGBT, and minorities. Because what you're going to end up doing is that you have to be all three in order to be a true feminist, which is what they're trying to do now. Saying that a white, straight, and I hate to use the term, cisgendered woman is not a true feminist. And they're starting to do that now. Why can't you have three separated groups that fight three different fights, and that one person could be a member of all three? which I'm happy about, actually, because that means that feminism is going to go down because they're going to start turning on each other for not being feminist enough. It's going to be Animal Farm. It's going to be, I mean, if anyone's read the book Animal Farm, you know what I'm talking about. To be fair, I haven't actually read the book because it's boring as hell, but I did see the movie with like Kelsey Grammer and Patrick Stewart, so needed more Kelsey Grammer though. And yes, feminism calls the attention to the plight of women. It deserves that attention. We have a lot of work to do to make something that making that right. Why should I feel guilty about bringing that up? You shouldn't. You should be allowed to bring it up. And I should be allowed to bring up the plight that men face and not be told that I'm a misogynist for doing so. I'm perfectly comfortable being called a feminist. I have a mother and I love her. Oh yeah, so do I. I have 2 grandmothers, an aunt, a wife, a daughter. Most of us, whether we're women or not, have important relationships with someone of the female persuasion. I can't imagine why anyone would want to deny those loved ones equal treatment. I don't do that, but I'm not going to call myself a feminist because it makes you sleep better at night. But you don't have to know or care about a single woman. You could have sprung from the ground like a mushroom and live in a dark corner without meeting anyone all your life. Why would you want to deny half the human race fair treatment? Well, why would a mushroom give a shit? Why would a mushroom care about the human race? I mean, mushroom lives matter because either people are trying to put me on pizza or smoking me.
Oh my god.
It is a deep-seated psychosis. Like so much else, the current presidential election has brought it even more to the forefront. Yes, because no one ever attacked a candidate before being in office. Running for president. That's never happened until Hillary Clinton came on the scene. For the first time in American history, a woman tops the ticket of a major political party. No, that's not actually the first time that's happened. That's happened over 100 years ago. She's not even the only one. A Green Party has an oppressive female candidate too. Well, that of course would mean that you consider the Green Party to be a major political party, which most people don't. I mean, it's a political party, it's just not a major one. There are only 2 major ones. And just like in 2008, when Barack Obama became our first president of color, the crazies are coming out of the woodwork. I even had a female acquaintance tell me she couldn't support Hillary Clinton because she didn't feel comfortable with a woman in the Oval Office. She thought a woman would be too emotional to make those kinds of life and death decisions. Said by no person in the world. This person doesn't exist. No woman ever told you that. Oh, I don't want Hillary Clinton in office because she'll have her time of the month and then launch the nuclear missiles all over the world because no one got her chocolate fast enough. Well, newsflash, she has menopause, so no worries about the time of the month. Although she might have some hot flashes. What a pile of crap. Yeah, it is a pile of crap. Thank you for agreeing with me. It doesn't matter if you support Clinton or not. Really? It doesn't? Being a woman does not disqualify her from the presidency. No, but her telling me that her being a woman qualifies her as the presidency does bother me. That's her only qualification that she brings to the table. In fact, there have been other female politicians that say the reason why you should vote for me is not because I'm a woman, but because I'm the right person for the job. Hillary Clinton says the reason you should vote for me is because I'm a woman. If for no other issues with Hillary Clinton, that is the reason why I wouldn't vote for her, because she makes gender an issue. Women make life and death decisions every day. In fact, given that many women have the very machinery of life embedded into their own bodies, they may be more suited to these decisions than men. After all, they are empowered to decide whether new life comes into the world. They literally give birth to the future. Okay, one little flaw in this is that you're talking about running a nation of many, 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 many people and giving one life. Vastly different. I mean, yes, it is a big responsibility to take care of a person, but, you know, there are also a lot of women out there who take a lot of pride in getting abortions. Or a lot of women out there who don't value their child's life, instead value their own life and use their children to, you know, for whatever purpose they have. So using the excuse of, well, they give birth and they make life and death decisions all the time, that doesn't really make them sound all that great, given how much they abuse that privilege. Men can be an important part of the process, but it's not biologically required to the same degree. Being the father of the daughter is the most important relationship in her life. And I'll admit, it made me think about gender issues more deeply. Okay, wait until you have a son and think about how the world is going to tell him he's a rapist from the moment he's born, that he's the problem with the entire world, despite any of its history. Him being a white male is the problem. And see how that makes you think about things. Because I know many women who became MRAs because they thought about having a son and realized that the world is not really keen to them existing. All parents see the world anew through their children's eyes, and what I see from my little one's point of view doesn't fill me with confidence. I see everywhere where women have to prove themselves just to get in the door, while men are assumed to be worthy of a shot just by virtue of their masculinity. Bullshit.
She's fucking blind. Like, holy shit. Can I get some of those glasses? Whatever the fuck she's wearing. Like, what
he's wearing. That is bull fucking shit. Because you know what? It's called affirmative action. But, you know, it's like even Mercedes, she's admitted that she got special privilege being a female in a male-dominated field, and she got more opportunities and was promoted faster than her male counterparts simply because she was a woman. Women are more likely to be hired than men in STEM fields. So don't tell me this, oh, well, women have to prove themselves. No, men have to prove themselves. They have to be like, you know, this amazing, amazing person to be hired over a woman and willing to do it for next to nothing in order for them to be considered better than a female worker. So, yeah, it's just a lot of bullshit in this article, but I want to read the comments real quick. Because there was a good little discussion that was going on here. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, it might have been the next article we're doing. Yeah, I think it was. Okay. So, Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop this article here. Do you have any comments you want to make about this?
Sorry, I was putting the snake away.
Yeah,
but
so was I.
no, that guy just sounds. It didn't even sound like a man most of the time, but yeah, he sounds like he hates himself.
Oh, look, he's a white guy and a neck beard.
Nah.
So, yeah, this guy, he does hate himself. He thinks that, well, if you think that men and women should be equal, that makes you a feminist. He probably married a feminist, and it's like, well, I want to do everything to make her happy. He's basically a white knight. That's all he is.
Yeah.
And wait until feminist turns on you. I mean, hell, feminism is starting to turn on Justin Trudeau. And that guy is like more mangina than he is a man. And yet feminists are like, is he a little too feminist? We don't like that.
No.
We don't like a man giving us everything we ever asked for. Because that just means he expects something in return. I mean... So he admits that he has a daughter, but I hope you have a son so you can think about the world that he's going to grow up in. A world that tells him that, he is this bad person automatically for having a penis. And that he's most likely going to be accused of rape sometime in his life. And where are you going to be then when your son gets accused of rape by a woman and he says he didn't do it? Are you going to believe him, or are you going to say, son, you committed rape? Whether you realized it or not, you have privilege. And if a woman says you committed rape, we have to listen and believe her. So you need to turn yourself over to the police and tell them that you did it, even though you don't think you did. Are you going to say that to your son? Or are you going to be like, wait a minute, this is horrible that this is happening to you. You're a good person. Oh my God, feminism is actually awful. Because it's really coming after my son. This has actually happened to a lot of women. There was a feminist lawyer who you really drank the Kool-Aid until her son was accused of rape, and she saw firsthand how awful feminism was towards her son. And she managed to fight to get her son not expelled from school, but had she not been a lawyer, then he probably would have been expelled from school. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting equal rights for men and women, but the kicker is that you can't say that that is only a quality of being a feminist. You've got to accept that other people can have the same idealism and not want to identify as part of a hateful movement. I mean, feminism sounds great if you ignore all of the bad aspects of it. Celtic Rune Singer. They have to be Superman or Batman, Mad Cat. Well, yeah, I mean, if you were a rich billionaire, you wouldn't need a job. That's why you should be hired over a woman. They also say Trudeau isn't feminist enough. So on one hand, he's too feminist, and on another hand, he's not feminist enough. Trudeau just can't win. My God.
Yep.
Warped Reflection says it best. Doesn't matter what a man does or doesn't do, he's always in the wrong. Oh, well, I'm glad you're back there, Polaris. I was kind of wondering why you weren't responding, but good to know that you're still out there. So why I'll never date a feminist. Yeah, this is the one with the comment. Sounds good so far. Why I won't date a feminist. Because I'm happily married and don't plan on dating again. Ooh, it's a twist. He's married to a feminist.
Oh, snap.
What's up? Oh, snap. My wife is a feminist and I consider myself one as well. In fact, I don't know anyone who shouldn't consider themselves a feminist, because doing so means that you believe women should have equal rights. You are for equal rights. You are against women being sexually assaulted. Pretty normal things. Where have we heard that before? Like the other two articles? I do know of one guy who's apparently isn't a feminist and would never date one even though he's not married. Dave Hahn wrote an article last week about this topic and received, as you can imagine, a ton of criticism. A lot of people went for the softball and criticized him for his looks, basically saying that no woman anywhere would be upset to learn that they can't date him and that he'll inspire many of them to be feminists. I'm all about peace and love, so I don't feel the need to go the route, although his saying that he isn't going to date anyone is akin to me saying that I wasn't going to have sex in high school. Celibacy, not by choice. Okay, so you're perfectly okay with women coming after him and insulting him for his looks, but you're not okay with anyone saying that they're not going to date a feminist. Notice the double standard you have there. I'm married to a strong, successful woman. A weak man can't handle the idea of a strong woman, so a feminist scares them.
Yeah, that's the reason.
So apparently, Modern Medusa, you're not a strong woman because you're not a feminist.
No, I don't even lift, bro.
A weak man thinks that being feminist is anti-man. They don't realize that it has nothing to do with man and everything would do with how women are treated.
That's funny.
A weak man takes someone wanting equality and makes it into them being persecuted and threatened with being unequal themselves. This happens with race, feminism, gay rights, etc. So if a man says, well, you know, men are discriminated in family court, this is wrong because it's taking away from feminism, because feminism is just about women. So men are not allowed to say in any way how they're being persecuted in society. Only women are allowed to say it. Again, do you see your own double standard?
Probably not.
A weak man blames women for being raped or sexually assaulted and disputes facts about how often it occurs based on their intuition that it can't be true. I think what he's saying is that a weak man blames women for their being raped, so that women are responsible for their own rapes. That's not what he wrote, but I think that's what he's trying to say. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, women do the same thing. They, based on their intuition, that no woman would ever lie about being raped. So anytime a woman is raped, claims that she's raped, she must be telling the truth. Like the whole Cosby rape situation. 40 women come forward. They all have to be telling the truth. Even though that many of them have been dismissed as being not possible at all because Bill Cosby was somewhere else during the time it was claimed that the rape occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So are you then saying that those are not actually women then? They're really men in disguise?
Yes.
A weak man feels that if women are in combat, the whole military would fall apart.
This next part pisses me off. I don't. What the fuck?
Do you want to read it?
A weak man thinks that men don't usually get primary custody of the kids because of discrimination against men, not because more women tend to stay at home with the children than men do, so judges don't want to interrupt the normalcy going through. Is this guy fucking retarded? Like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard when it comes to fucking divorce court issues. Like, what? Like, he didn't even use the argument that women are better caregivers. He just said, oh, kids usually stay at home with the mom, so judges just want to keep doing that.
Okay.
Like, what? They could be with the fucking dad, too, you fucking idiot. Like, what? Okay. I don't even know what the fuck to say to that.
If that's true, if his point has any validity at all, then why isn't shared parenting allowed? Why is sole custody often
that's more normal than just
women?
Staying with one parent?
Because you know what? It's also normal for kids to see their father. That's part of normalcy. So if your argument is for normalcy that the kids have been going through, then just seeing their mother alone isn't normal. Seeing both of their parents is normal. And in fact, if it's just for the sake of normalcy, then judges would say, no, you're not getting a divorce until your children are out of the house. Because the children are used to seeing both parents together. So you're going to go back home and you're going to make it work. So your argument holds no water whatsoever.
No.
And you know what? Even then, that's still discrimination if women get custody because they stay at home with the kids. So men are allowed to work for their family, but they're not allowed to spend time with their family.
Yeah.
A weak man thinks that if a woman is into equality and loves being a woman, they can't be dateable because it means that they are likely anti-man too. No, I like modern Medusa. She's into equality, and I would love to date her. Okay, I would just want to have sex with her and maybe a little cuddling afterwards.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
Maybe go on a dinner date. I don't know. But, you know, I don't think she's anti-man. But what you're saying is feminist. That's what he's saying in this article is if she's a feminist, then he can't date her because blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump down to the comment because there was a really good one. So person who wrote this is Michael Helfand. So, okay, so Anton writes, this is quite puzzling. According to feminist ideology, the patriarchy is supposed to be responsible for pressuring boys into being strong and not appearing weak. Yet feminists like you won't hesitate trying to shame men as being weak the moment they disagree with you. Very good point.
Yeah.
If you're going to espouse an ideology, then at least be consistent in your beliefs. The only thing you did with this article is trying to present the pro-feminist side as the one and only morally acceptable. If you want to write a relevant article about gender equality, you need to start viewing the non-feminist side as a legitimate point of view. You need to start accepting that someone can actually be an anti-feminist without being a misogynist, sexist, or a troll. Try convincing non-feminist men using logic and reason instead of blatant shaming tactics.
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet this Anton because that is some very concrete, logical reasoning right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that the men's movement doesn't have it, but it's just so nice to see it in full use. And he mostly used punctuation correctly. Better than most people. Sorry, I'm a writer. I can't help but notice these things. So the author writes, the beauty of writing your own blog is you don't have to do anything. I certainly won't start viewing someone who is anti-feminist as legitimate because to me that means anti-equality. Feminism is about wanting equality to me and nothing more. If that's a problem for you, the door is on the right.
That was the actual author?
Yeah, the person who wrote this article, the person who owns this blog, said this.
Wow.
Going on. I'm 100% for equal rights between men and women. However, like Dave Hahn, I disagree with the feminist movement on topics such as patriarchy, the rape culture, and the wage gap. You can't even understand that someone can be for equality while disagreeing with the core principles of feminist ideology. If we were to find the right solution to gender issues, we need to get a clear picture by looking at those issues in an objective way. This is simply impossible to do if we can't even criticize the feminist movement. This intolerance to any opposing views, which is the very definition of bigotry, would only hurt feminism credibility in the long run. Also, very well said right there. So how does Michael respond? No, because if you're for equality, you will understand that many women rightfully feel unsafe on campus because as many as 1 in 3 will be sexually assaulted, and stories like this Brock Turner are not unique. Oh my God, Brock Turner was treated like a woman in the court system, which is the equality that women have been claiming for.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you haven't heard that?
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook that someone's like, you know, the reason why feminists are angry at Brock Turner is because he got treated like a woman in court. He got a 6-month sentence and he's being released early. Most women don't even serve jail time for rape. There were 2 females, 2 sisters that were both deaf who raped a boy for over 10 years. No jail time. So, yeah, Brock Turner getting such a short sentence. So, Anton responds to that. It's not that I don't understand the 1 or 3 or the 72 cents for a dollar statistics claimed by feminists. It's that I completely disagree with them. I genuinely believe these numbers to be over-exaggerated and unrepresentative of reality. That is my opinion. What if I'm wrong? Does that make me a bad person? Can't I just be wrong without being depicted as a woman hater? Can't I just be wrong without... Oh, I'd like men and boys of every ages to be able to express their opinions about their own issues without being shamed into silence or having to fear repercussion on their social status. Whether girls or boys have it better in 2016 is irrelevant. I believe there's currently enough men's issues to justify the creation of a movement focusing on tackling them. I also believe in the necessity of a movement protecting women's rights. Just like myself and absolutely anyone else in society, I don't want feminists to be immune to criticism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a smart dude.
Yeah, if anyone knows this Anton here, send him my way because he just writes that so well. And that's really what the main issue is for feminism, is that it's immune to criticism. You can't criticize it. It's a lot like Big Brother, 1984, or even MacArthurism. That if you don't agree with us, then you have to be one of them, and then we're not going to listen to anything you have to say. Or I guess it's more of a reverse MacArthurism. For anyone who doesn't know, MacArthurism is where it was the whole, like, you have to defend yourself from not being a communist. That if someone says you're a communist, then everyone takes that seriously. It's the worst thing you could be called, was a communist. And, like, they would, like, have witch hunt trials. Like, are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's becoming with feminism, is that if you don't identify as a feminist, you are a bane on society. And no, I did not mean that pun with the whole Batman comment earlier. That just sort of came out. So, do you have any lasting remarks to this whole article or the comment section?
Oh god. I mean, that guy obviously doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, it seems like he believes all the statistics and just doesn't mention to any logical arguments that anybody else has.
And, if it was just his article alone, I'd be like, well, we don't really know that he won't listen to anyone else. No, in his own comments, when presented with an alternate viewpoint, he basically attacks them. It's like, I don't want to listen to anything you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I believe what I'm told. This is the problem that feminism has, but specifically with male feminists, is that they wrap themselves within this bubble. And they see only the good aspects of feminism, but they don't bother to acknowledge the negative aspects of feminists. And if you try to bring up to them these negative aspects, they will put it in your face that you don't know what it is, that you don't understand what feminism is, and that you're the one that needs to change, not me. I'm not like that, so that's not actual feminism. And
sounds like an abusive boyfriend.
Yeah, it really does. It sounds more like Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
That you identify with your captors, and because they chose not to kill you means that they're really good people.
Yeah.
And yes, Stockholm Syndrome can be seen in an abusive relationship because, hey, the guy didn't beat me today, and he usually does on Tuesday. That means he loves me.
Yeah, male feminists are always hilarious.
And, just like your dream boyfriend, Steve Shives, I mean, he is so pussy whipped. He is, I honestly believe he is an abuse victim. His wife is an abuser and will tear down anything about him in the name of feminism. Oh, you really hate women because all your books on your bookshelves are by men.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
And your music collection.
Oh, you don't listen to enough Rihanna. I don't know if she actually said that, but I mean, I'm sure she was like, oh, well, you only listen to male artists. You don't listen to female artists. Who fucking cares? It's music. Who can understand half the shit anyways that comes on there? If you actually look at the words being said, it's not that great. All right, let's take some comments from the chat here. Let's see. Men should be afraid of strong women. Men have been conditioned to not harm women. Women don't have this conditioning when it comes to harming men, which is why we have feminism. True. Yeah. I wonder how many of these men are actually being physically abused by their strong female feminist wives. The construction industry. Trudeau was supporting the construction industry. Actually, you know, that reminds me of what happened during the economic crisis when the government wanted to give money to men who were laid off from like construction jobs because they couldn't find any work and they weren't getting enough unemployment. So the government wanted to give them a lot of money. And then feminists swooped in and said that this is discrimination against women, and ended up getting it changed that primarily women were supported for this, you know, money that was being given away to the people to help them out. And these women were mostly women who still had jobs. So it doesn't surprise me that feminists criticize Trudeau for supporting construction as a job, because that's predominantly a male field. So, of course, he's an anti-feminist for supporting a job that's predominantly men, because men need help. Oh, my God. Construction is mostly a man-run industry. Warp. They want Trudeau to support a mostly woman-run industry instead. Well, that was Celtic Rune Singer. Polaris. Women staying at home while men go out and work. Sounds like this feminist supports the patriarchy. Men should go on strike and leave everything to the women, Celtic. We'll soon see how long they cope. Well, we're already seeing how women cope with the whole marriage issue. Men are not wanting to marry women, so feminists are saying, oh, well, they're just cowards. They don't want to marry women. They can't handle a strong woman. They're trying to shame them into doing it, rather than say, you know what, maybe we're the problem. Maybe we should fix something. Oh, I should have Warped Reflection on if she does streams then.
Yeah.
We gab a lot at each other. The boy is fucked. He became a druggie and an alcoholic. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, is that Brock Turner or the kid who was raped by 2 deaf women? Oh, the kid who was raped by the deaf cunts, yeah. I bet he was. In fact, he didn't know anything was wrong until he became a teenager, and someone's like, yeah, what happened to you is actually pretty bad. He was like, really? And yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, he was molested at the age of 6 by one woman and actually raped by another woman, the sister, around the same time. And it went on for like over 10 years. And yet they served no jail time because they were deaf and because they were women, but I think they used deaf as an excuse. So, need to get going early today. I apologize, but is there any lasting thoughts that you have for us today, Modern Medusa?
White knights are cancer. And feminism is cancer also. Everything is cancer.
And you have to point it all out.
Yes. Oh, God.
Well, why do you think men do this? Why do you think men dedicate themselves to feminism a cause that seeks to dismantle what it means to be a man?
Because a lot of men just want to please women. I mean, you don't see, like, I mean, sometimes you see gay men being feminists if they're, you know, if they're really feminine, but like most men don't, most masculine men don't part of that because they don't like being treated like shit. But the thing is with the white knights is that they don't mind getting treated like shit. They think that, you know, they deserve it because, you know, they're men and they're awful and all this and fucking, I don't know. It's just like it's a self-destructive kind of thing that I personally don't understand, but yeah, I see it the same way as like anybody who goes into like a radical group who's like feeling like whatever, they feel like they need to grasp onto something, and but they're obviously not going to benefit from it whatsoever.
Well, throughout history, men have always been required to break their backs in the fields or go into war to defend their country, to basically perpetually always fall on their sword for the needs of their family and society. And this has always been the norm. And women have always been required to take care of the family to where men couldn't because they were out working, they were out in war. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily right, but to some degree, people were happier in this way. But men are still doing this. As women are moving away from this typical gender role, they're still enforcing men to maintain the gender role of sacrificing themselves for women. And in fact, it's the women the feminists who don't want men in feminism at all, that I tend to like more, because they don't want men into this traditional gender role of protecting them. I actually have more respect for them than the feminists that say that men should be feminists too and will redefine what masculinity means so you can be a part of us. The thing is that while I dislike feminism, I don't want things to go back the way they were. I don't want, men have to sacrifice themselves for the family and women enjoy all of the benefits while also giving herself to the family. I would like to see a more equal world, but the one thing I don't want to see is where women continue to receive all the benefits where men still have to do all of the work. We still live in that exact society under the feminist ideology. It's just we've changed some of the circumstances, but it's still the same thing. Men must sacrifice themselves for women, and women enjoy all the benefits.
Yeah, it's sad, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon.
Well, it's going to change because we're out there trying to make that change. We're trying to raise awareness, and more people are starting to open up their eyes. Will it change in our lifetimes? I think it will. I think there's a very good possibility of that. But as the saying goes, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because otherwise, why are we on this channel why are we on YouTube? Why is any of us out there talking about this if we don't believe it's ever going to change?
Yeah. I have hope, just I'm a pessimist, so.
Well, I'm a realist, so that makes me both a pessimist and an optimistic.
Cool.
I'm just all matters complicated. Although in most ways I'm very simple. I just want beer and to see something naked.
Yes. Don't forget food.
Well, is the food served on her naked body?
Yes.
All right, so that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for everyone coming out. We'll try to do a show next week. I'm still working on my play. I'm hoping to get that out in a couple of months, but I've got most of the recordings done. I just want to give that update out there. So be sure to check that out when it comes. Modern Medusa actually has a part in it, so as well as other couple of big names, but I will release that when we get closer to the release date. Also, be sure to check out Modern Medusa's channel. You can find her on YouTube. Where can we find you on YouTube?
Modern Medusa.
Indeed.
Yes.
See, I set her up so she looks really, really smart.
Oh yeah, totally.
Also, check out the comment section down below. You can find a list of all the articles that we talked about today. Also, you can find my Twitter account. Also, my Patreon. If you like what I'm doing, you want to give me a tip, I'll appreciate that. All money is going towards trying to raise money for medical costs because, well, I have a disability and there may be something I can do to help me, but it's like all out of pocket. Even if I had insurance, it wouldn't cover this. I'm hoping that it could do something. Maybe it won't, but I think there's a good possibility it could help. But it costs a lot of money, so that's what my Patreon is for. If you're not comfortable doing Patreon, you can always just donate money to my PayPal if you want to get that information from me. And if not, you can also check out my book. It's linked down below. The first one is free. It's kind of a preview of the overall series. And if you like the book, please rate it, review it, and if you really, really like it, or you just really want to support me, consider buying the book that comes directly after that. It's only $2.99. Anyways, that's going to do it for us today. Once again, I am Dix.
Boobs.
I'm Boobs. And everyone have a good day.
Please.